Hello everyone, my name is FATIHAH, and today me and my group will be presenting our contrastive analysis of two video blogs. Using contrastive analysis, we examine how the two vloggers differ in terms of language structure, vocabulary choice, and special expressions, while also exploring how language reflects different cultural perspectives in online discourse. I will begin by presenting the background of our study, focusing on video blogs as an online discourse platform. First, let's understand what online discourse is. Online discourse refers to communication that takes place through digital platforms using different modes, such as written, spoken, visual, and audio communication. It includes not only the technology that enables communication, but also the way people interact and communicate with one another online. Unlike traditional written communication, online discourse is multimodal, which means meaning is created through the combination of spoken language, visuals, audio, text, graphics, and other digital elements. These features make online communication more engaging and allow creators to present information in a more effective and meaningful way. One of the most popular platforms that supports online discourse is YouTube. It is one of the largest video sharing platforms in the world and allow users to create and share different types of content with audiences globally. Among the various types of content available on YouTube, video blogs or vlogs have become increasingly popular because they enable creators to share personal experiences, opinions, and information through authentic spoken communication. And these characteristics make video blogs a valuable source for studying language used in authentic online communication. Now, let us look at why video blogs are suitable for this study. As shown in the table, video blogs have several characteristics that make them suitable for this study. First, they are multimodal, like I mentioned before, meaning they combine speech, visuals, audio, and text to communicate meaning. And secondly, they contain authentic spoken discourse, allowing us to analyze natural language use in real communicative situations. Video blogs are also audience-oriented, as creators adapt their language according to their intended viewers and the purpose of the video. In addition, they are also personal and experience-based, reflecting the creator's own communication style and perspective. They are also culturally embedded, where language choices often reflect the creator's cultural background and identity. And finally, these characteristics provide rich linguistic features, making video blogs an appropriate source for comparing language structure, vocabulary, and expressions in our study. That concludes the background section. I will now pass the presentation to ALEEYA.
Thank you, for explaining the background of our study. Now, before we move on to our findings, let's first understand what linguistic features we were actually looking for in the travel vlogs. To make our analysis more systematic, we group these features into three main linguistic items: language structure, choice of vocabulary, and special expressions. Let's start with language structure. As the name suggests, this focuses on how speakers organize their speech to communicate effectively and keep their audience engaged. We look at features such as word mixing and code switching, rhetorical questions, as well as hedges and boosters. Next, we have choice of vocabulary. This refers to the words speakers choose to express their ideas. Under this category, we examine features like loan words, fillers, and discourse markers. These may seem like simple or ordinary words, but they actually play an important role in making speech sound natural, conversational, and easy to follow. Lastly, we have special expressions. This category focuses on expressions whose meaning go beyond their literal words. It includes idioms, figurative expressions, cultural-specific expressions, slang, and phrasal verbs. These expressions often reflect a speaker's culture, identity, and communication style. Now, I know some of these terms might sound a little technical. So to make them easier to understand, let's look at a few simple everyday examples. Starting with language structure. Imagine someone saying, "Saya nak order chicken rice." I'm sure many of us have heard or maybe even said something similar before. This is an example of code mixing, where words from two different languages are combined within the same sentence. In multilingual communities like Malaysia, this happens very naturally in everyday conversations. Another example is the question, who doesn't love traveling? Now, you don't actually have to answer that. This is a rhetorical question. Rather than asking for a response, the speaker uses it to encourage agreement and make the audience feel more involved. Moving on to choice of vocabulary. One feature is loan words such as anime, which comes from Japanese, and fiesta, which comes from Spanish. These words have become so widely used that many people don't even realize they are borrowed from another language. We also look at pillars such as, I mean, like. Although they don't add much meaning on their own, they make speech sound more spontaneous and conversational, especially in casual settings like vlogs. Finally, under special expressions, we have slang, with examples like sus and salty, which are commonly used in informal conversations. Another interesting example is the Malay figurative expression makan angin. If we translate it literally, it means eat wind, which sounds quite weird, but its actual meaning is to go out for leisure or to travel. This reminds us that language isn't just about the words themselves, it also carries cultural meaning. With this example in mind, it will be much easier to understand the linguistic features we identified in our analysis. Next, I'll pass to Najwa to present the findings of our study. Thank you.
Thank you, Alia, for the explanation earlier. So let's take a look on the three linguistic items that Alia has mentioned. Let's start with language structure. So when we look at language structure, we are focusing on how sentences are put together and how the speakers keep their audience engaged. So there are two big things that stood out here. First, code mixing and rhetorical questions. So first, code mixing. The English vlogger uses the original Japanese place name by saying the place that called Tenku no Tori. So by keeping the original name instead of translating it to English, she keeps the experience authentic and helps tourists spot the location easier. So on the other hand, the Malay vlogger mixes languages constantly by dropping English words like free, claim, and park into the Malay sentences is incredibly common in Malaysia. So it makes the vlogs feel more casual, natural, and relatable to local viewers. Second, we notice rhetorical questions are used as emotional hooks. The English vlogger asks, like, isn't it too crazy to express how beautiful the scenery is? Meanwhile, the Malay vlogger uses a rhetorical style to highlight cultural needs by asking, like, mention dia halal lah, for the example that we have pulled from the vlog. He is not looking for a real answer. He is just drawing immediate attention to the fact that the restaurant there is Muslim friendly, which is highly important for his target audience. Next linguistic items that we analyze is choice of vocabulary, specifically looking at how the vloggers use conversational fillers and loanwords. Spontaneous speech is full of fillers because they give the speaker a split second to think without creating awkward silence. The English vloggers uses phrase like right before calling a spot that she found super iconic. It is a very natural conversational way to keep the talk flowing. The Malay vlogger, however, relies heavily on the filler word macam that during his food reviews. He says like dia macam menyerap sop and dia macam rasa manis for the food that he is reviewing. So even though macam means like in English, he is just using it as a hesitation marker to describe the texture and the taste of the noodles naturally. So we also found some great examples of loan words. The English vlogs used the word cafe, which is originally French but is now a standard global tourism term. The Malay vloggers also use an Arabic loan word that is deeply rooted in local culture, saying that Tok Imam pun boleh jalan free dekat lepas ni. Bringing up Tok Imam works as a brilliant cultural insight joke that makes the audience feel instantly connected to the vlog. The final linguistic items that we have analyzed is special expressions, where we look at informal slang and phrasal verbs that were used in both vlogs. So both vloggers use slang to draw positive reviews of the places that they went. So the English vlogger used modern social media slang, saying good vibe to describe a great atmosphere for the time being. So the Malay vlogger goes for a hybrid approach, exclaiming memang heaven lah kat sini. So he takes the English word heaven to describe an incredibly beautiful place, but slaps the classic Malay particle lah on the end to make it sound more natural and relatable to Malaysian ears. So lastly, we look at phrasal verbs that were used for the travel routines. So the English vlogger uses them naturally as a part of English grammar, saying check out of our hotel. So it is precise and clear that they have checked out from their hotel. So interestingly, the Malay vlogger just borrows the English phrasal verbs from directly, saying sekarang kita boleh check in awal, even though there is a formal Malay term for check-in, which is mendaftar masuk. Using check-in is shorter, modern, and exactly how Malaysians speak in real life nowadays.
For our conclusion, this study successfully achieved its objective of comparing the linguistic features used in English and Malay travel vlogs through contrastive analysis. Based on our findings, we identified similarities and differences in three main aspects, namely language structure, vocabulary choice, and special expressions. We also found that the English blog generally used more structured language and frequently included phrasal verbs that are commonly used in travel-related communication. In contrast, the Malay blog contained more code-mixing, loanwords, and slang, reflecting the multilingual nature of Malaysian communication. Although both bloggers visited the same destination and shared similar travel experiences, their linguistic choices differed according to their cultural backgrounds, intended audiences, and communicative purposes. These findings demonstrate that language use is not determined solely by grammatical rules, but is also influenced by the social and cultural context in which communication takes place. Different language choices allow speakers to connect more effectively with their target audiences while maintaining their own communication style. Furthermore, our analysis showed that even simple travel-related expressions can reveal meaningful linguistic differences between English and Malay. By comparing these features, we were able to understand how each language conveys similar meanings through different linguistic strategies. Therefore, our study shows that language is not only a tool for communication, but also reflects culture, identity, and the social context in which it is used. Moving on to our reflection, this study has provided us with valuable insights into how language is used in authentic digital communication. By analyzing English and Malay travel blogs, we gain a better understanding of how language structure, vocabulary choice, and special expressions differ between the two languages while serving similar communicative purposes. One important implication of our findings is that authentic travel vlogs are valuable resources for understanding real-life language use. Unlike scripted conversations found in textbooks, travel vlogs present spontaneous spoken discourse that reflects how people naturally communicate in everyday situations. This enables viewers and language learners to observe how language is influenced by culture, social context, and the speaker's intended audience. Throughout the analysis, we also encountered several challenges. Since the data consisted of authentic spoken discourse, some linguistic features were difficult to identify and categorize because their meanings depended heavily on the context in which they were used. Expressions such as slang, borrowed words, and code missing required careful interpretation, and we had to discuss our findings as a group while referring to relevant linguistic theories to ensure our analysis was accurate and well supported. Despite these challenges, the experience was highly rewarding. It strengthened our analytical and critical thinking skills as we learned to evaluate authentic language from different linguistic perspectives. We also became more confident in applying the concept of contrastive analysis to real-world data instead of relying solely on textbook examples. Overall, this project has deepened our appreciation of the close relationship between language, culture, and communication. We believe that the knowledge and experience gained from this study will be beneficial in our future academic studies and will help us better understand authentic language use in multicultural and digital environments.